And as you recall, we already replaced these two top screws just to keep the top from flopping around when we were working on the camera, when there was really no need to have the top off. If those screws are missing, you want to start by putting those in. You next want to make sure that you're on 1 second. Remember we talked about leaving your shutter dial at being on 1 second? You need your camera to be right there when the shutter's cocked. As you look at the wheel, you want this pin, that's your timing pin, to go down into this first groove on the wheel. Your shutter is now set at 1 second, and it's time to put the faceplate back on. The cocking lever obviously goes at the bottom, and just gently place it back on. Check it from the top to make sure it's on there nice and squarely. This is hanging up a little bit. Sometimes they'll do that. Make sure there are no obstructions, and try it again. And on this one, what happened was this wheel, the shutter timing wheel, came up just a little bit, and it was causing it to go on crookedly. Don't force anything when you're reassembling this camera. Take it nice and slow. These were built beautifully, and they should fit back together beautifully. Now that it's on, you can check right across here and make sure that it's square. And you want to start putting your screws back in. There are two sizes of screws here. Short ones and 6 longer ones. The 2 short ones go on the top. Again, these are brass screws, so go gently. And just snug them down. When those are in, turn the camera on its back, and we're going to be putting back the 4 corner screws. Again, in no particular order, make sure the screw's going in nice and straight. There shouldn't be any resistance when you're tightening these down. If you're getting resistance, it means that the screw is not going in straight. Back up and try it again. Okay, now we want to replace the bakelite cover. I left 2 of the screws that belong to this cover in when I took the cover off initially. I have 2 screws right in there. I have 2 holes here and the 2 screws here to replace them with. This is a very delicate part of the operation. Put your shutter speed dial on 1. Gently push the bakelite down onto the camera, checking to make absolutely certain that it's flat. All the way around. The bakelite will sometimes get caught on a corner and won't go down flat, so that when you tighten the screws you break the bakelite. It's very difficult to glue, and it's next to impossible to replace. Tighten down the 4 screws. A good hint here is not to tighten them down very far, and just before you do tighten them down all the way, make sure that your bakelite cover plate is 100% flush with the camera. And you do that by shutting the cover and taking a look right along here on the bottom, and also right along the top where the bakelite meets the camera, to make sure that one edge isn't higher than the other. This one looks nice and straight, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the screws all the way. Gently close your lens cap. All ready to go out and shoot for another 50 years.